If you're thinking about moving abroad, then chances are you've spent a lot of time deciding where to move. So if you're in between countries, then this video is for you because we're going to talk about the top 11 worst countries for cost of living, quality of life, ease of settling in, and work-life balance, according to more than 10,000 expats who are living outside of their home country. So we're going to start with the 11th and go all the way down to the lowest ranked country on this list, which is 46 out of 46 countries total. If this is the first time we're meeting, I'm Kristin. I'm the author of Moving Abroad for Dummies, and I've been helping people move abroad for the last 20 years. But the first place on our list is actually a country that I don't help people move to. It's a country I help people move out of, and that country is the United States, my home country. But yes, it ranks 36th out of 46 countries, and here's why. Let's see if you agree with any of these reasons. First and foremost, healthcare. It actually ranks last, 46 out of 46 countries on healthcare. People are shocked. People from different countries who move to the US, they cannot believe our healthcare system. They're shocked by the cost. They're shocked by how the whole system is set up, the insurance, and just the difficulty overall. One person said that they pay more for health insurance than they do for rent, and they still have to pay to go to the doctor. So, healthcare isn't the only issue here, but it's definitely one of the major ones that brings the US down on this ranking. Quality of life is also another one. And if you've ever lived in the US or if you live there right now, I think, the quality of life has been maybe getting worse over the years. At least it seems that way a lot of the time. And this is for a lot of reasons. This is due to a rising cost of living. This is due to the large geographical area of the US, which makes it really difficult for public transportation unless you live in a city. And even then, public transportation can be slow, can be expensive, can be inconsistent. So people really don't like that. When you come from other countries and then you get to the US, they say, wow, like the public transportation is really bad. Also, the work-life balance when it comes to, the rat race in the US is a big factor of why people leave, for sure. So people coming in from other countries that had a healthier work-life balance, and then they get to experience the US rat race for the first time, it's something that they don't like. So it results in long commutes, a lot of time in the car, and also high costs when it comes to, gas and insurance and then the health insurance and the rent. Yeah, it doesn't rank very well there. Also, it does actually ranks pretty good as far as job prospects, but overall, people say that, it's actually number 5 for career prospects out of almost all 50 of these countries. So they say that the money is good, the financial security is good compared to where they come from, but then the work-life balance, the leisure options, and just overall work culture and satisfaction are lower. There's also a lot of concerns about safety here. It says concerns over gun violence, political polarization, and social unrest. So a lot of people just simply don't feel safe. I've talked about this in a lot of other videos as well. We want to move on to some of the other countries on this list, but there are some pros to living in the US besides the work career options. People say that the people are really nice and friendly in the US, and they find it pretty easy to adjust to the culture. They also say that the bureaucracy is not as bad as a lot of other countries, so we have that going for us. The next country on our list, so in the bottom 10 of places to live in the world, is a country that might surprise you, and it's also a place that you might personally be thinking about moving to, and that country is Italy. Italy was also in the bottom 10 last year, and there are a few reasons for this. I love Italy. My family members are from Italy. There's a lot of great attributes to living there, but there's also things that, once you're there, it's a little bit harder than if you go on vacation there. So one of the biggest things is this category called Expat Essentials. So this is including things like, administration, bureaucracy, housing, language, just all the things that you need to deal with in your day-to-day life there, those can be a struggle for people. The bureaucracy is probably one of the worst ranked in the world. We've got it 46th, dead last for digital life and administration. So things like registering as a resident there, opening a bank account. One person said that they spent 6 months trying to get their residency permit and that the process was just really confusing and a nightmare. I would say for us, even working with residency attorneys in Italy, it is one of the more bureaucratic processes to getting something like the elective residence visa for retirees. There can be really long wait times to get your consular appointment. The requirements can vary greatly by the consulates, and it's one of those countries that it's really good to plan at least 6 to 9 months ahead to make sure that you can move on your timeline. And then once you get there, there's still some struggles of registering after you get there until finally you can ease into that daily life. And if you're retired, it can be easier after you've settled in there. But for other people who are working there, Italy also rates really low on career opportunities and also job security there. It's also not the best ranked for personal finance. So it's kind of in the middle when it comes to personal finance. It's not the most affordable place to live in Europe. And when I look at Nomad List, the cost for a short-term like digital nomad living in Italy for a few months at a time, this is pretty high. It's showing between $3,000 to $4,500, maybe $5,000 per month. Of course, locals are living on a lot less there. And if we look at the cost for expats, it goes down to around $2,500, $2,700 per month. But also the taxes can be high in Italy. And so, there's definitely some downsides to balance out the amazing food, wine, nature, scenery, history, culture, art, music. I mean, Italy does have a lot to offer. So just because we're talking about the negatives more than the positives of these countries, it doesn't mean that a country is all bad. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't move there. It's just really, good, realistic, tangible info for you to be able to make your decision and go into it with realistic sunglasses on, not rose-colored glasses on. On the positive side, Italy ranks really well for quality of life. So this is that, food, culture, natural beauty that I'm talking about. And I have a video about the best places to live in Italy. And there, you can really see a distinction between the southern half of Italy and the northern half of Italy, with the northern half having a better quality of life, the southern part of Italy struggling a bit more economically. And that's why there's actually more government incentives, tax incentives to living in the south to kind of incentivize people to go down there, because when it comes to the Italians' perception of quality of life, the northern areas always rate higher, and they also have, more temperate climate. Also in our bottom 10 is Sweden. And this country really surprised me because Sweden always ranks at the top of those happiness indices, along with Norway and Denmark. So what's the issue here? Well, weather is definitely a factor. The farther north you go in Europe, the more you have, the colder weather, the longer winters, the darker nights. And so that's a factor. But here it really says that it's hard to fit in. It's hard to make friends there. It's hard to integrate with the culture. It's difficult to learn the language. And so Sweden ranks 42 out of 46 countries for ease of settling in. And I could definitely see that, the Swedes aren't known for being the most outgoing, and a lot of people say that although the locals are very friendly, that even though they live there for a long time, they never really get invited into their inner circle, so to speak. And my cousin actually lived in Stockholm for a while, so I asked her about it, and she lives in London now, and definitely think it's a bit easier to make friends in the UK versus Sweden. It can be a bit of a closed society, especially because it has a lower population compared to some countries, and so you get a lot of people that have known each other for a really long time, or they work together, and that can make it hard to truly integrate into the culture. One expat said, "I've lived in Stockholm for 5 years and I still don't have a single Swedish friend. Everyone is nice, but no one invites you into their life. Breaking into childhood friendships and into those established friend circles is nearly impossible." On the positive side, Sweden ranks really highly for administration, bureaucracy, and digital life. It's actually number 4 for that. So really easy to get things done there. And it's also number 1 when it comes to environment and climate. So whether whichever season you're there, in the summer, you can go boating, you can go out to the islands, you can go hiking. In the winter, you've got amazing winter sports. So it ranks really well for that, but it ranks lower when it comes to personal finance because the cost of living is pretty high there. It actually is only 2.9% lower than living in the United States on average. So not the best place to go if you want to save money, but it depends on where you're coming from. And on Nomad List, it's ranking, around $3,000 to $5,000 per month for your total cost of living there. And it also doesn't have the most visa options. So it's one of those places that's good if you want to go work there, if you have a job offer there, but they don't have a retirement visa, they don't have a digital nomad visa. And so that makes it one of the more challenging places to relocate to. Next on our list is the country right next door, and that is Norway. That ranks really similarly to Sweden when it comes to ease of settling in, making friends, and also the cost. They're really right next to each other. Like Sweden's 4th on digital life, Norway is 6th. So things run really well there. Norway is in the top 10 for environment and climate, but in the bottom 10 when it comes to cost of living, and also almost last when it comes to ease of settling in, local friendliness, finding friends, culture, and welcome. And this is, I understand why Norway would rank near the bottom on these factors, but at the same time, I have some really, really good friends from Norway. And actually, some of them I met in Sweden, and I've gone to visit them in Norway. And so I think it really depends on the people, because Norway is one of my personal favorite countries in the world. I've met very friendly people there. I'm obsessed with the nature. It's the most stunningly beautiful geographic place I've ever been, with the fjords and the mountains and the hiking and the blue, deep blue water of the Arctic. I mean, it's just great. And I've been hiking and all over the place, in Bergen, up in Lofoten, and you meet people there and people stop to chat with you on the hike, and have friends in Oslo as well. So I do think it's possible to fit into these places, but the general perception from the thousands of expats that live there is that it is hard. Also, like Sweden, you're looking at an average cost of living of around $3,000 to $5,000 per month. So not the best place to save money. And then you also have the cold, long winter nights. But on the plus side, you get to see the northern lights. It's the only place in the world I've ever seen them. I haven't even seen them in Iceland, and I've been there like 8 times. So you can see the northern lights there. And then in the summer, you have the really long days, so you can be out and about doing things at midnight, which is a little bit weird, takes some getting used to, but it's still one of my top countries. It also ranks 5th for work-life balance and 8th for work culture and satisfaction. So that's why these Scandinavian countries end up being the happiest countries in the world, because people do get a lot of work-life balance, and they also get a lot of time out in nature, which also boosts your mood as well. Next, we're going to hop over the pond and head to Canada, which ranks 40th out of 46 countries. And the main reason that Canada is ranking so low on this index is due to the cost of living. So this really surprised me, because I didn't think it was the most expensive place on this list, but I guess it depends where you're living. So it ranks dead last for personal finance, especially due to the housing costs there in places like Vancouver and Toronto, which I can attest to. Vancouver is one of my favorite cities in the world, but it's a place that you can find similar rent prices to places like Miami, New York City, Seattle, San Francisco. So yeah, people say here that half of their income goes to rent or mortgage payments. One expat said, "I make a good salary, but I can barely afford a 1-bedroom apartment, and I don't know how anyone can save money here." And I agree. When I lived in Vancouver, one of my friends was renting a closet for $1,200 per month. A closet. Like, she lived in a walk-in closet. And that really stuck with me. But yeah, walking around Cole Harbor in downtown Vancouver, you've got the Whole Foods, the expensive restaurants is very similar prices to going out to eat in Miami or New York, and going grocery shopping here as well. So maybe I do see the reasoning now. Canada doesn't rank at the top of any of these lists here. It's kind of in the middle. So it's like an average rating when it comes to, quality of life, leisure options, healthcare, safety. One thing people do say, it's a very multicultural society, so they like that. They find that it's a bit easy to fit in, and it rates okay in language. It's an English-speaking country, but you have a lot of different languages. But it's just one of those countries that it ranks towards the bottom half on most things, and so that might explain why a lot of Canadians are looking to move abroad, but then you also have people from other countries looking to go to Canada for work opportunities. It ranks 29th for career prospects. Next up, we're going back over the pond to the UK, which also ranks very low on this list due to the cost of living there, especially housing prices. So it says here that 61% of foreigners who are living in the UK are unhappy with their cost of living, and more than half say that their disposable income isn't enough to get by there. One person said they moved to London for a great job, but after paying rent and food, they have almost nothing left. London should maybe have its own category when you're looking at the UK, because it is one of the most expensive cities to live in Europe and probably the world. I spent 6 months in the UK a couple of years ago and was able to get pretty reasonable housing prices. In Manchester, I think I was spending about $1,900 or $2,000 per month total for my rent and utilities, which is less than Miami, but more than a lot of other places I would live. And I think in the past couple of years, the housing prices have gone up a lot there as well. A lot of people get roommates there. We don't do too many relocations to the UK, not for the cost of living, but more so because they don't offer investor visas, retirement visas, digital nomad visas. So the real main ways to get to the UK are if you're going to work there or if you're going to study there. And so for that reason, it can be a really difficult place to immigrate to. But it sounds like a lot of the people that made this report are actually working there, and that's where it kind of defeats the purpose if you go to work somewhere and then you can't afford to live there. But it's not just the money, because people also like to complain about the weather, the cloudiness, the gloominess, the lack of sunshine, and also the food. But I personally like the food in the UK, not necessarily like the English breakfast and traditional British food, especially because I'm plant-based. But you can find a lot of vegetarian options there now, and very international restaurants. You can find really amazing food from all different countries, especially in places like London, exploring the markets. It's really one of my favorite things to do. And the train system, public transportation is pretty good in the UK, but it can be expensive. The train between Manchester and London can be the price of a plane ticket across Spain, for example. The cost of living is high, but you also get a pretty good quality of life as long as you can afford it. In our bottom 5 now, we have Germany, which was surprising to me because it's known for having excellent infrastructure, a really strong economy, and also really good transportation, pretty safe, but people struggle here. So let's find out why. It says that the main reason is bureaucracy and a lack of digitalization. This is very shocking for me. Germany ranks dead last for digital life. They say that everything there requires paperwork, in-person appointments, and long wait times. So I did not know that about Germany. I assumed it was a little bit more advanced with their technology and their engineering there. But one expat said, "I couldn't believe that in 2025 I still can't pay with a card at most places in Germany. A lot of things are cash only, and the bureaucracy is a nightmare." So I don't remember, when I've been in Germany quite a few times, and I can't quite recall if I had an issue paying, with cashless options. But the good news is that people say that it's really easy to get high-speed internet at home, and Also, Germany is known for having a really strong social safety net. So they have really good health care. They also have good work-life balance, definitely a place where people work hard, but they also like to enjoy life. They like to spend quality time with family. They like to go out to eat, and they like to travel as well. German tourists are, some of the top travelers in places like Spain, Portugal, France, Italy. So you'll see them all over the world. Anywhere I go, I always meet Germans. So if you value the efficiency of, modern technology, transportation, internet, then Germany could be for you. Also, if you're looking to work there and get really good job benefits, but they don't have a retirement visa. They don't have a digital nomad visa. So it's a place where you could go if you wanted to be a freelancer, start a small business, or get a job there. But they don't have as many options as places like Italy, Spain, Portugal, and France when it comes to immigrating there. In our bottom 4, we have Finland, which along with Sweden and Norway is known for being one of the happiest countries in the world. But similarly to those countries, people say it's really difficult to make friends there, integrate into society. The weather gets very cold, but it does have amazing nature. You've got the skiing, the hiking, the northern lights. It's very clean, it's very safe. But yeah, the weather can be tough, when it's not snowing, it might be raining, depending on where you are. And yeah, it's also cold, but if you live near Helsinki, you've got a good airport there. You can take the ferry over to Estonia, so it's a good base to travel from, but it can be really difficult to break in, not just into the culture of making friends outside of work, but also in the workplace, where people say that it's really difficult, although a lot of people speak English there as a common language. But sadly, it's almost dead last when it comes to ease of settling in and finding friends. One expat said, "I've lived in Helsinki for 3 years and I still feel like an outsider. Finns are polite, but they're not interested in making new friends." If you're Finnish, let us know if you agree with that, or if you live in Finland as well. This next one is really interesting because this country dropped 21 places from last year. So what happened? I don't know. Let's see. It says the answer is a combination of political instability, economic challenges, and a brutal work culture. South Korea ranks dead last for working abroad. And maybe that's kind of similar to, Japan has a low rating for work culture because they work long hours. It can be very stressful. I haven't been to South Korea, but I have heard that the work culture can be difficult there as well. People say that it's demanding with long hours, low work-life balance, and low job satisfaction. One expat said, "I work 60-hour weeks and I'm expected to socialize with my boss after work. There's no time for anything else." So that's really sad because South Korea has a very advanced society. They have good public transportation networks. They have a pretty moderate cost of living, and there's a lot to see and do there. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot of nature. You've got the coastline, islands. So it's sad to think of many people being stuck in their cubicles all day, but that seems to be the case. The second lowest country on our list has been in the bottom 10 for 12 years running. And this is a country that has become more popular for people to move to in recent years, to be able to get residency there, to be able to live there as a digital nomad part-time. And, it has a lot to offer. But Turkey ranks low for economy, for working abroad, and also for inflation, low salaries, bad job security. So it could be a good place to go if you're looking to retire or work remotely, but not if you're looking to get a job there. One expat said, "I make a decent salary, but with inflation, my money is worth less every month. I can't plan for the future because I don't know what things will cost next week." I think that despite the low cost of living in Turkey, this is probably why it ranks 43rd out of 46 for personal finance. I haven't traveled too much around Turkey, but I did spend some time in Istanbul, and I know I see a lot of the benefits. It's a very vibrant city. You've got a really amazing, flavorful food there. You have pretty good weather. You have beautiful, take boat trips. You can go explore. And of course, it's a massive country with so much more to do and see. And I do find the cost of living to be quite low, but if you're earning in that currency, then there could be some instability there. Nomad List has the cost for nomads at anywhere between $1,300 per month to $1,700 per month. So the cost of living here is really comparable to living in Asia, actually. On Numbeo, it says that the costs are about 43% lower than the US, with rent 67% lower. So it really depends on why you're moving to Turkey, how you're moving there, and what your income is. That will affect the type of experience you'll have with regard to money. One expat said it's a big country with a lot to see and discover. Nature is beautiful with lots of sunshine, a mild winter, and a variety of food choices, but there isn't enough environmental and natural habitat protection. Also, the residency laws change too much, the economy is shaky, and there's super high inflation. So for career opportunities, not the best place to go, but if you're looking for a low cost of living and also really friendly people, then it could be for you. Last on our list is a country that is ranked at the bottom of this index for 7 years running. That is Kuwait over in the Middle East. And the reasons are clear: poor quality of life, difficulty settling in, lack of social opportunities, lack of things to do. This is a quintessential example of the people that I know anecdotally who have been there are all going there to work. So it does rate high on career opportunities and income opportunities, but it's kind of like golden handcuffs, because the people who I know are pretty much only living there to be able to earn a higher amount of money and to be able to save money. But when it comes to like social interaction and things to do, also the weather, it doesn't rate well. People say that there's unbearable heat from May to September. You can't go outside during the day, and that there's very little parks, nature, culture. Also hard to really integrate with the community there. There can be like a barrier between locals and foreigners. People aren't as friendly as maybe in other places, but it does rank 8th when it comes to the economy. So if you're looking for a high-paying job, it could be for you. Now, just because a country made it on this list doesn't mean it's somewhere that you should necessarily avoid. It just means to do your research and take the good along with the bad. But if you're in that position where you're trying to decide where to live right now, then you'll want to watch this video next, where we talk about the 10 highest rated countries on this list. And if you'd like some personalized support from me, you can reach out by using the link below or by scanning this QR code right here.